Hello everyone, my name is Manaro and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 6, entitled Blood of My Blood. Just before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to say Happy Memorial Day in remembrance of all of those who gave their life and paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. To you, your families, your friends, and all your loved ones, thank you for all that you do. And I also want to shout out all service members out there that are continuing on that legacy. So thank you. So today I'm gonna do a brief overview of the episode, some of the scenes, and then I will also give my thoughts about each of the scenes that as I talk about them, and then we'll wrap up at the end. So the first scene that I want to talk about is Bran. Oh, and please excuse me if you see me look down because I have like some notes and I don't want to go off too far into a tangent because I can. So I just want to make sure that I touch briefly on each of the scenes, give my thoughts, and then wrap up so this video doesn't run like for an hour. Okay, so Bran. So Bran and Mira are continuing on their escape from the cave. The Whites are after them. Bran is still in vision flashback mode. And in his vision, he is seeing a slew of things. He sees his father's execution. He sees his mother's death. He sees himself falling from the tower. He sees the Mad King. He sees the Pyromancers in King's Landing. He sees Hardhome. He sees the Night's King, or the White Walker, I guess, who's representing the Night's King. He sees a lot of things in his vision. And as Mira tires out, from, dragging him from the cave, and God knows how far she did that, she eventually tires out. He eventually comes out of the vision and he looks at her and he says, "They're here." And she apologizes to him as she's getting ready to make her last stand. And then somebody comes out of the blue and rescues them, takes them away, and rides off. Well, the rescuer is revealed to be Benjen Stark. And then he talks about how he had gone ranging and that the Whites and the White Walkers had fallen upon them, that he had got stabbed in the gut by a White Walker, but the Children of the Forest saves him. Interestingly enough, the way that they save him is the same way that they created a White Walker, by shoving or driving an obsidian glass into his heart to stop him being transformed into a white. So you could kind of see on his face how it looks semi-decayed. I didn't really get a good look at his eyes to see if they were blue. They didn't look blue to me, so but I believe that they're merging his character with another character from the books called Cold Hands. So I think they're just merging the two characters together, but I'm okay with that. I'm really glad to see Benjen Stark back, and I'm really interested to see how this Bran storyline is gonna continue now that he's in the picture. I'm really excited for that. The next thing that I want to talk about is King's Landing. So in King's Landing, Tommen is talking with the High Sparrow, and then during the conversation, he asks him if he wants to go see Marjorie. So he takes him to Marjorie. He's really all happy, telling her that he missed her, and and Marjorie tells him how the High Sparrow had shown her the light, so to speak, showed her the error of her ways, and how like she's a convert. She is talking that radical convert language to Tommen, and it works because when they get to this, when we get to the scene for the Sept of Baelor in front of the Sept, I'm assuming is in front of the Sept of Baelor. Um, he comes out and publicly states that the crown and the faith are the two pillars of the kingdom, and that they're going to rule that way. So in effect, Marjorie has convinced Tommen to to become a convert of the faith. Amazing how this High Sparrow has used the power that he was given in the first place by Cersei, and has manipulated the the whole situation in order for him to not only maintain the power that he was given, but also to add to that power. He is pretty much virtually untouchable now. Absolutely very crafty and amazing in my book. Um, but I'm kind of still wondering about Marjorie though, because Marjorie, before, when we saw her in the last episode that we saw her in with the High Sparrow, um, she seemed to just be playing along with whatever he was saying. And then by the time she gets to see Loras, she's telling him, "Look, you need to stay strong. There's a reason why that they have us in prison." And she goes on and on and on. But Loras is so broken by that point. He's like, he doesn't care. He just wants it to stop. And I'm wondering if her newfound faith, or her conversion, is just um, an act in order to save her brother Loras. If she's just doing all of this and she's playing this whole game just for the purpose of saving Loras and saving herself. Because I looked at her face when Jaime and the Tyrell army presented themselves in front of the Sept. The look on her face almost a looked like it was relief. I'm not sure. Maybe I was just, maybe it was just in my head, but that's what it looked like to me. But she continued on to play this thing. Wow. So now the faith and the crown are together. Now they have formed a union. So, being that they form a union, and they are now that the crown is under new management, the first thing that we see Tommen do is fire his uncle as the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. It plays out just like how Barristan Selmy was fired as the Lord Commander from the Kingsguard when Cersei and Joffrey took over. Um, it's it's really amazing how that how that turned out. And Kevin just stood there and didn't say anything. So now Tommen is like, yeah, you won't serve as a Kingsguard, but you can still serve the crown, but it won't be here. So he's essentially telling him that he needs to go to the Riverlands. So when Jaime goes to Cersei and starts crying about it, she's like, look, just go to the Riverlands, take back the castle, it's ours, and just show Lannisters what we do to our enemies. The only issue that I had about this scene is I wasn't too crazy about how Jaime is just following what people are telling him. I don't like the way that they portrayed him. They have been portraying him this season. I can't really speak to the other seasons because I haven't watched the other season. I'm originally a book reader. I did know about Game of Thrones when the first season came out, when I would see commercials and advertisements about it, but I never watched the episodes because once I found out that it was a book, I just read the books. And I would see reviews here and there about the different episodes and seasons and stuff, and I've watched maybe one or two episodes out of each of the seasons, but I can't say that I've actually watched all of the other seasons in their entirety. This is the only season that I have actually been watching since day one. So, I'm not a real fan of how they're portraying Jaime They're making him seem like he doesn't have a brain of his own, like he cannot make choices or decision on his own. His all of his actions are dependent upon somebody else telling him what to do. Um, and his story in the books is way different than they're portraying them here, but at the end of the day, they're getting him into the Riverlands, which is what I'm really most interested to see, how his story arc, how his character progresses once he gets into the Riverlands. I'm really excited to see that. And speaking of the Riverlands, let's talk about the phrase. So we have the phrase in the story. Um, Walder Frey is an absolute jerk, and I love watching him play a jerk. He is absolutely funny. Um, but he mentions the Brotherhood Without Banners. He mentions the Blackfish, and they have Edmure Tully, prisoner, apparently from the Red Wedding. They didn't kill him off, so now he's telling his two sons that they need to go back to Riverrun and take the castle back and show them who's boss, because they're no longer kissing their behind anymore. They're not Tully Bannermen anymore. The they now rule the Riverlands, and so they need to get that. They need to get the castle over at Riverrun back. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to attempt to do that. And since they mentioned the Brotherhood Without Banners and the Blackfish, well, we see the Blackfish in the previews, but I wonder when they're going to introduce the Brotherhood Without Banners. And with that introduction, will they be bringing back another character, which is from the books, um, which you may have heard about if you have not read the books, Lady Stoneheart. I wonder if they're going to bring her back as part of that storyline. That would be really interesting to see. And if they're not going to bring her back, who are they going to merge her with? There's a lot of talk that it might be Sansa that takes some of Lady Stoneheart's story arc. But I'm really interested to see who they're going to have do that, because Brienne is now on her way to the Riverlands. And I'm really interested to see when her and Jaime see each other, what's that conversation going to be like? I'm really interested to see that. I say that a lot. I'm really interested to see. Please forgive me, but anyway, let's move on. The next one I want to talk about is Sam and Gilly. I love this scene. The actor who plays Sam's father, Randall Tarley, absolutely brilliant. He played the Class A butthole great. I love the dinner scene. I love how Gilly stood up for her boo. She was like, he is a better warrior than either one of you. She talks about his bravery. She stood up for him because she knows the truth of who Sam is, despite what his father may have said. And kudos to Miss Tarley for getting up and be like, look, dude, you have no class. You don't know how to act. I'm out of here. And lastly, I chuckled when I saw Sam take Heartsbane from off the mantle. I thought that was freaking brilliant. I loved it. So I'm really excited to see when he goes to Old Town, how that story is going to unfold. Next thing that I want to talk about is Dany. I don't really have much to say. The scene kind of speaks for itself. Her and the Call have left Vastothrak. They're on their way to Marine. And while they're on their way to Marine, she has some small talk with Dario. And then she looks ahead and she sees something. And then so she tells them to wait as she rides ahead. And then the next thing we see is Drogon flying. And then she is actually on Drogon riding him. And then she gives this big speech about going across the Black Sea and fulfilling the promise that Khal Drogo had made to her. So that was a pretty decent scene. The one thing that I will say is she looks so much more confident riding on Drogon than she did the last time. When I looked at the clip of her when they were in the pit, where she initially climbs on top of Drogon, there was a sense of she wasn't sure. She had a sense of insecurity. There was some hesitation on her part. Even when after she got on, it was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This time there was um, confidence. She handled it like a real boss. So that was really good to see. There's not really much else to say about that scene. Um, the last thing that I want to talk about is Arya. Um, Disclaimer, I love Arya's character. I really love that little girl. She is a resilient soul. She she has been through so much, and yet she is focused. Um, she is Arya Stark to the core. She is a Stark of Winterfell. And she is not about killing for the sake of killing. Everyone that she has killed up until this point has been either because that person was about to do harm to her, or she was enacting justice for herself or for family or for someone. Um, so she didn't go through with killing that actress. And not only that, she told the actress, "Hey, that one wants you dead," and just walked that out. And not only does she walk out, she goes and grabs Needle because she knows what's coming. Because Jaqen warned her, one way or the other, there's going to be a face up on that wall. It's either going to be that actress's face or it's going to be your face. And she knows that. So she goes and she grabs Needle because she knows it's about to be on. And that also brings to question the waif. She must have already had a conversation with Jaqen about killing Arya if Arya never becomes no one. The way that she says, "You promised," or "You promised me," something to that effect, leads me to believe that they've had a prior conversation about her being able to kill Arya if Arya doesn't become no one. And so the only thing that he says is, "Don't let her suffer." But I don't think the waif really cares about that. I think the waif wanted or wants to kill Arya, wants to get rid of, and I think it's because she was jealous of her. Um, but she's gonna have another thing coming because Arya is gonna do some serious needlework on that girl. Hey, I'm okay with that. So overall, I would give this episode a 7. I thought it was a good episode. There were a lot of good moments in it, but it wasn't as I didn't get as excited about it as I did last episode or the first episode. I mean, not the first episode, but the second episode. Um, I, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. So that leaves me room to go up in ranking for the next few episodes that we have coming up because I think we have some really exciting story plots that are about to unfold these upcoming episodes, especially if you've already watched the preview. So that's all that I have. Two things that I want to mention. If you want to see an in-depth video about Bran's vision, I would recommend that you go to Bartube's YouTube channel. She did a video that broke down his vision with screenshots and everything, and I thought it was very well done. So I will link her video below. Another person that I want to mention is James Rochelle. He did a prediction video for Lady Stoneheart, and I think it's, a good video to check out so you can see what his thoughts are as far as on whether or not we're going to get Lady Stoneheart in these upcoming episodes. Thank you very much for stopping by and watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and then I'll see you in my next one. Fear cuts deeper than swords.